Look at that. Today I got my camera facing the right way. Got the camera facing the right way this morning. But I didn't have my Wi-Fi ready to go. Something with my phone mount too is always, I think it might be time to get a new one. It's always bouncing around on me. Good morning, Keith. How's everybody doing this morning? Sun shining this morning. It's easy to get up and get going when the sun's shining. It's one of the bigger things about the nice weather. At least for me, I notice when I get up and I'm up and moving around in the morning, and when I get outside to get to my car or take the trash out, or sometimes in the morning I'll get the mail from the day before. When I walk outside and the sun's out, it's like a boost of energy. I'm sure it's almost all mental, but I think there's probably some science behind it, that the sun gives you a little bit of boost of energy. That vitamin D from the sun or something gives you a boost of energy. But I wanted to share something with you. I've learned in my 15 years of sales that's extremely helpful, particularly at the beginning of the process, but it can often be used even at the end of a sales call. And this is particularly when someone has disclosed to you that, hey, I'm going to interview, let's say, 10 different real estate agents. I want to make sure I make the best selection. I want to interview a couple different options. But it can apply really to anything, whether you're in car sales or home improvement sales or whatever. This one simple question will help you get clarity on what is a priority to your client. And a lot of times we make assumptions in real estate, particularly as a listing agent. Oftentimes, I think real estate agents assume that the client wants the maximum amount of money. And while price is certainly part of the decision-making process for people, seldom is it the number one priority. And if you ask this one question, it'll really help you get clarity on the sellers or the buyers or the client's priorities about how they're going to make a selection of who they work with. And the question is this: it's very simple, and it'll really help you get clarity on what their priorities are. And you could say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I commend you on doing your homework. What's the harm in getting multiple options or estimates, right? That way you'll have a couple different ways that you can choose to go. Let's try and flash forward a little bit here. And when you get to the end of that interviewing process, you've had, 4, 5, 6 people out to your home. You've gone through the hour-long process of, interviewing them. So the reason I say it this way is now you've said 4, 5, 6 people, an hour long. They should be thinking in their mind, oh my goodness, like 5 people, an hour each. I mean, that's going to be a lot of time to interview these people. So you're painting the picture of what it's like to weigh multiple options, right? It's not enjoyable. Most people don't want to. A lot of times they'll look for multiple options or multiple estimates because you just haven't solved their problem yet. So you'll say, you might have 4 or 5 people out to give you different estimates. Each of those appointments, like ours, may take an hour to an hour and a half. At the end of all of those appointments, when you sit down and you make a decision about who you're going to work with, how will you select the person that you do business with? And they're going to tell you what is most important to them. It's going to be, well, either who can sell it the quickest, or who has the best marketing, or whoever can get me the maximum dollar. Now, the first response that you get is certainly going to, be a good idea for you to ask follow-up questions. But this one simple question will help you get clarity on what's the most important to your client, whether you're buying something, selling something, whatever it is that you're doing. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Mr. and Mrs. Client. After you've interviewed those 4 to 5 different people, and you've taken your time, with each of them, and whether it's an hour and a half with each, and you've gotten to the end of that interviewing process, what would you say will be the one thing that will make the decision about who you work with? And you're going to get a response. That response will tell you ultimately what is a priority to them, and then you should focus on that in your presentation, and you should in most cases, be able to close the transaction without them getting 4 or 5 estimates. They've told you what's most important. It's not typically the interviewing process that's important to somebody. It's that they feel they may need to go through 4 or 5 different interviews, 4 or 5 different estimates to find what they're looking for. If you're able to give them what they're looking for in their first interview, most people will give you the sale up front with no need. Who wants to interview and get 4 or 5 different options? Not me, not most people. They do it because they believe it's necessary to get what they want. So if you're able to strategically give them what they want on the first visit, you'll increase your closing percentage drastically. And quite frankly, your people will love you for it because they didn't have to spend 5, 6, 7 hours shopping for the one thing they knew they wanted in the very beginning. You're just helping them get clarity on what that is. They may not have thought about it yet. They just thought that, hey, the best way for you to get a good deal or the best way for me to select a real estate agent to interview 5. But you got to help them look down kind of take a peek into the future and say, hey, when you sit down at your kitchen table with your wife and you guys lay out all of these 5 options, how are you going to decide who you work with? And what they're going to tell you is what you can offer to them or what you need to do now to get the sale. It's simple. Ask that question. I promise you'll increase your closing percentage, and your customers will be much happy because you're going to save them a ton of time. Why force them to go to 4 or 5 different people and waste hours and hours of their time when they realistically know what they want up front, or you can help them figure that out? Maybe they didn't think about it yet. Maybe by you asking the question, hey, Mary and Joe, at the end of this interviewing process, after you've, invited 5 or 6 different real estate agents out to your home, you've worked with them for an hour to hour and a half each. They've laid out all this information for you. At the end, what will be most important to you? How are you going to decide who you work with? Maybe they haven't thought about it at that point. They'll think about it when you ask them that question. You can help guide them through it if you've done your job throughout the rest of the appointment, and then you have the right to say at the end of that appointment, hey, if I'm able to give you that, is there really any need to go through, the hassle of interviewing 5 to 6 different agents? It seems like you and I are on the same page. I'm willing to go to bat for you, and I think I can deliver what's most important to you. You wouldn't say that, but I think I can deliver the price that you're looking for and get you maximum dollar. That's it. Ask a simple question, get a simple response, but have open and honest communication with your clients, and you're going to have a much more enjoyable process, and you're going to get more results. Hope everybody has a good day. We'll see you.